I'm sorry. Okay.
We're live now. Okay. Hi, friends. Welcome to the broadcast. Got to get a better name. And there's a
It's
couple of
great.
events coming up at a cool place, and we're confident it's actually going to take place. And ChaChi is here to kind of be the parade leader and talk us through what's happening. He has gathered together Kristen Eck and Todd, formerly of Shake the Faith, and now Holy Smoke, and Gary Backstrom of Gary Backstrom, who's got some cool new music. And ChaChi is now going to tell us how this all fits together.
Well, Bradley J, thank you for inviting me back. I brought along a bunch of friends that I love, and we're here because there's a new venue in Norwood, Massachusetts called the Magic Room. Interesting little room. It's the creative brainchild of Desmond. You know Des. He was a big supporter of local music. He was in the Bent Men back in the day. Bradley, you and I have a history with the Bent Men, and great musician. And he opened a venue called the Magic Room. It is in Norwood, Massachusetts, at the Norwood Space Center, just steps away from the David Bieber Archives. It's a great room with a fantastic sound system, and we thought we would highlight two shows that are on the schedule in June at the Magic Room. And the panel that you see here are either performing or associated with the shows. And as you had said, we welcome Todd Erickson from the great Shake the Faith from back in the day. Bradley, you and I remember doing Shake the Faith lunchtime shows, one specifically on Ash Wednesday, where we got the whole Catholic Church up in arms over doing that with Shake the Faith Ash Wednesday. And so Todd's new band stays with the whole religious theme. The name of his new band, which isn't really new, they've been around for a while, called Holy Smoke. So we welcome Todd Erickson. And then we have Gary Backstrom. Gary is a big fan of yours, Bradley. When I told him we were going to do a thing with you, he was very excited, and he's a big BCN fan from back in the day. And many people just know, of Gary through the name of his band, which is a pretty memorable name called Jiggle the Handle back in the day. We love Jiggle the Handle. BCN played them, and I know Gary because Gary performed at one of my Regent Theater tribute shows, shall I say charity shows during COVID. So we welcome Gary Backstrom of the Gary Backstrom Band. He has a brand new CD of which I'm a huge fan. And I got it right here. And he sent along music to our panel as well for you guys to hear. And I also want to introduce Kristen Eck. You know Kristen because, not only she is a traffic reporter on BZ, but she also has a really great radio show. She's a big supporter of Boston bands and Boston music, and she is hosting one of these shows, which I'm going to get into right now. So, Kristen, welcome to the panel today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, ChaChi. Thank you
so
for
the
having
shows
me.
are, in fact, June 10th, the Gary Backstrom Band with his CD release party at the Magic Room, and his CDs will be available at that show. And so we welcome Gary again for his big event on June 10th. And then on June 24th and 25th, of Kristen and I are involved, along with Todd. It's a Magic Room concert for Ukraine, benefiting the Women and Children Relief Fund of Care.org, a 2-night extravaganza. Friday night, June 24th, Kristen will be emceeing The Dogmatics, Cold Expectations, Tsunami of Sound, and Holy Smoke, of which Todd will be playing. The second night on June 25th, I will be hosting a show to benefit Ukraine featuring Smit E. Smitty and the Fez Tones. We love Smit E. Smitty. And we also have Gene Dante and the Future Starlets. Babes, I think that's how you say it. There's 2 A's in Babes. Maybe someone knows and they can correct me if I'm wrong. The
Babes.
Modern Day, I'm sorry?
Babes.
The Modern Day Idols.
Emphasis on A, Chach. Emphasis on A.
Thank you for the clarification. Modern Day Idols and Lonely Lisa and the Lost Cowboys. So this is a 2-day event to help the women and children of Ukraine. So we welcome the panel, and Bradley, thank you for having us. This is going to be a fantastic 45 minutes or so of discussion, and you're welcome to anyone who's watching to place comments on the live feed, and we'll be happy to look at any questions or comments as Bradley has put up here from David. Gary, been trying to recruit for the show, C/hear you then. So And
So
then
Gary, first, let me say, Gary, I did jiggle the handle yesterday, and I
Yeah, did it work?
I thought of you. And the thing is, now every time I jiggle the handle, I will
Every
think
time.
of your
All right,
band.
can I just spell something about that name?
yes,
Yeah, that it's
It is-
about that, right? It's not about that.
It's not about that. I never even thought of it. So
The thing is, though, that now that you know that everyone thinks that you're responsible for it, it doesn't matter what you intended.
It's hard. It was a joke. Yeah, I used to have a car, a Toyota car, and in the late 80s when I was graduating high school, and everyone that would try to get in the car, they couldn't unlock it. So I would say, hold on, I got to jiggle the handle, or they would have to jiggle the handle while I yanked on the lock. I should have called the band Yank on the Lock. But so we did a show.
And then where's that go, Gary?
That could go all kinds of places.
Right.
So Gary, in the future, Gary, check with me before you name any future bands.
I will call you.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we did a battle of the bands, and we needed a name, and we used it as a joke for one night, and everyone said, "Why are you getting rid of that name? It's great. Keep it." So it just sort of stuck.
it's one of those names, Bradley, you just remember years later.
Oh yeah. And Todd, what's up with Holy Smoke? What's the status of it? What are your expectations from it? What's going to happen in your gig?
That is a very loaded question, Bradley. Thank you. First of all, congratulations to Gary because his new band name is perfect.
That's just his name. There is no band name.
Look at band names nowadays. I mean, what do you do? I mean, we just landed on Holy Smoke. It was kind of like spinning the Ouija board arrow or landing, throwing dice or something. You have to make it what it is. So Holy Smoke is literally what we've studied, and people and historians have documented that early humans thought that they could talk to the gods by sending smoke signals, that it was some sort of communication with the netherworld. And that's kind of what music is to us. And we're kind of, just rolling with that. So that's kind of what the show is going to be like. It's a debut of sorts. The band has been in existence since 2016. I recruited a couple of friends of mine up in Maine. I think most people on this podcast, and you guys included, probably know that I moved back to Maine, where I'm from, to raise a family, and recruited an amazing guitar player through the scene up here, a guy by the name of John Edwards, and he and I have stayed a band. We've just stayed together, written songs, recorded things. We've had some fantastic success with our progress as musicians. We're really happy with where we are. We, through the Boston community, crossed paths several years ago. Right when COVID hit, I was Facebooking and getting in touch with people and making sure everybody was okay. And I regrouped with John Songdahl, who you guys might remember from the band Electric Toys. And John famously was the keyboard player that went on to tour with Red Rockers on their opening a tour for U2. They opened for U2 on the US tour. John was the keyboard player in that band and went on to have a whole bunch of other musical successes, and we've reconnected. So add to that another Boston community member, Jay Potts, who famously was in the band Skin and then Cobalt 60. Jay is in the current lineup in the drummer's seat, which has been literally a Spinal Tap story of exploding, disappearing, and otherwise non-available drummers. So we'll all pray and hope that that doesn't continue to happen, but that's the lineup, and that's what's going on. We've got all our music's up on our streaming services. 3 singles that are out now are Tuned In, Antenna Up, Is This America, and Stephen Colbert for President. We have a new single coming out called Keep On Keeping On, which is a lot about, I think, what all of us have been feeling the last few years. And we'll play a couple more originals and a cover probably on the 24th. But yeah, just rock and roll, just doing what we do, and hoping to bring it for the Women and Children Fund the care.org benefit. It's a fantastic cause, and we're thrilled and really excited to be involved.
Kristen, let's bring you in here. You're a radio personality. You must have questions for these folks. Also, I'd like to hear about your Bumblebee Radio.
Yes.
Well, Bumblebee Radio was something I started in April of 2020. So it was right around when the pandemic struck. So I started in college radio back at Cape Cod Community College back in 1988. About 6 months later, I had my first commercial radio job. And by 1997, I was in Boston on WBZ doing traffic, where I've been for the last 25 years. But from 2007 to 2013, I went back to my old college and did a weekly music show on Friday mornings. I did that for about 6 years until I moved to the helicopter for WBZ full time and couldn't drive down to the Cape to do that show anymore. So by 2020, I was really getting the itch to do another music program because that's what I have a lot of fun doing. So I had made plans to approach the radio station at Salem State University about doing a weekly program with them. And I was going to call it Bumblebee Music. And I had my plans laid out in late February of 2020, and then the pandemic struck and all the campuses shut down. And I said, well, there goes my chance to do that. And I had always wanted to start a radio station of my own, but I never had the time. All of a sudden, we all had a lot of free time on our hands. So I said, why not just start my own radio station and I'll have a place to do my show? And that's what I did. And so in April of 2020, BumblebeeRadio.com was formed.
Are
Well,
you
it's
doing the
always
whole, are you getting sponsorship and stuff? Or are you just going to do it for fun?
At the moment, I'm doing it for fun because I've completely out of free time with all of the stuff entailed and what it takes to just have the station running and doing the reporting and all that stuff. I don't have any more free time to go out and sell it to anyone.
Right.
So if
I
anybody
get
wants
that.
to do sales for fun, please get in touch with me.
ChaChi,
Well,
Sales
I
for
interrupted.
fun. There's a band name.
Yeah, right.
I interrupted somebody. Who was that, ChaChi?
Me and Todd, you interrupted, but that's
I
okay.
did, all
It's
right.
your show. You can interrupt.
Okay.
But it's always, Kristen, it's always better to be a station owner than an employee.
Yes.
And and you and I should talk because I do have someone who's selling my show, and so he might want to take on yours as well. So
That sounds interesting. Thank you.
yeah, and so it's really great to have you on. And Bradley, yes, you were raising
While you're on this topic, I know that one of Kristen's goals is to be involved in Boston Calling as a radio station and show up and interview people. And ChaChi's connected to everybody, so maybe you can talk about that too.
And yes, I
Yes.
would love to do that.
We would love to help you do that, and it's fantastic. Your radio show has really gained momentum. What is your criteria in adding music to your show?
Yes, you're the program director, man. That's cool.
Yes.
So what the main format of the station is basically new indie music that's coming out. It doesn't necessarily have to be indie rock. There's indie pop. There are different forms of indie folk music out there that make it into the format. Another big section of it is classic alternative tracks from the late 60s through the 90s. Stuff like The Clash, Depeche Mode, Joy Division. That all gets played along with the new music. And then the third element is local Boston music. And those artists get played in the mix with all of the big label, big name artists. There is, I do carry Boston Emissions with Angel Wood on Bumblebee Radio. But other than that, we don't take all the local music and corral it off to Sunday nights at 10 o'clock when nobody's listening. My motto is good music, period. So everybody gets played side by side all together.
All right, quick question. How do you find out about new music, particularly local music?
Local music. So a lot of it, some at the very beginning, I was getting artists from Angel's show, and eventually I got in touch with her and I said, hey, listen, I'm pulling a bunch of artists off your program anyway, so why don't we just have Boston Emissions be on Bumblebee Radio? And she thought that was a great idea. So that she's on Monday afternoons and Wednesday afternoons at 4. But the more and more local music I played, the more people started getting in touch with me. So now I have an avalanche of submissions coming in my email box, which is wonderful.
Good for you.
That's good.
Kristen,
or if you're on, or Kristen, if you're on our side of the fence, where we're the submitters or whatever, yeah, it's interesting. You're a really powerful outlet, and I'm sure your inbox is full.
It is. It takes a while to go through it each week for sure.
Josh,
Well-
can you talk more about the Magic Room?
Yes, the Magic Room's an interesting venue, put together by an interesting guy. The entire decor seems to be giant, like paper mache heads, almost New Orleans, Fat Tuesday-esque stuff.
Well, that's
Some
very bent
suit.
men. That's a bent men thing.
It's a Batman thing.
As you
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. Yeah, I will tell everybody. Bradley and I would MC the Bent Men at the Freedom Rally, the pot rallies back in the day at the Boston Common, and some crazy, crazy shows. And I do remember one show, Bradley. I don't know if you recall, but I inadvertently, I smoked a little bit with some people. Hey, try this, and I was flat out on a park bench. And I was supposed to MC the Bentman, and Bradley went up and did it for me. Do you remember that, Bradley?
Well, I know I did it. That's the one where they had the kind of German-looking banners and stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I did that, because you were too high.
Yeah, and I
Did you have what is it? Horse tranquilizer? Somebody? It wasn't regular weed, probably, right?
yeah, it wasn't, and I will tell you that I drastically cut down my weed intake to 99% after that day because I could not even move. And Bradley did it, and the Bentmen, they put on a fantastic show. Each show, I don't know how they made money because it costs so much money to put on their show with all the costumes, but
No idea.
It's Des Desmond who owns the Magic Room, and it's a nice, comfortable environment. Great audio and great visual on the walls, films and so on as a band performs. Now, Todd, you've played there when you had the Shake the Faith reunion. Right. What did you think about the Magic Room?
Oh, it's a fantastic room. The cool thing about it is not only what ChaChi was saying about the uniqueness of it and what Des has done with it. It's intimate, right? So it's that feeling of 100 people in your living room. It's well laid out. It's easy for it to feel full, but it's pro PA and lights, so it gives you a real small auditorium feel when you're on stage. The situation we had was, it was a blessing in disguise, was that it was just starting to get open, ChaChi, if you remember, back last fall. And when we did the reunion show with Shake the Faith, we had the opportunity to bring renowned local audio pro tech guru gearhead Jeff Morley with us, and Jeff was able to consult with Des and put together a fantastic stage and house PA, not just specifically for our show, but work with Des and really put the room together. So Gary, I got to tell you, when you play there, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. It's a great experience for artists and the crowd alike.
That's what I've heard. I'm really excited about it. I talked to Des a little bit about it, and I think he tried to describe it as well as he could, but I'll be surprised, I'm sure, when I go in there.
I guest hosted an event there last October with two of the bands that are playing the Ukraine show, Smitty and the Feztones and Gene Dante and the Future Starlets. That was a wonderful show last fall, and the venue's great. I really loved it. Magic Room was awesome.
Smitty's a go-getter.
Oh yeah.
You got to talk about Smitty. He also put together some, and I was involved, a compilation of people.
It was during COVID.
Bands, right? I was in it. And I can't really remember what it was about.
Well, I remember I had to record a little message, an audio message.
Yeah.
It was audio video welcoming people. It was a charity event during COVID, and he had all these different local, personalities. I say that loosely in terms of me. And we'd all did a little bit of a video. I remember recording mine in Florida because I was down there. And it was the benefit for Boston venues. And Smitty Smith is very good at spelling, as you can see there. Smitty.
It's one of his strong suits.
Where is Bugsin?
He's
Buzzkin.
Benefit for Boston venues. I think he was trying to say.
Buzzkin. We all live there.
But we love Smitty with the fez, and he's an interesting guy, and he has really elevated the presence of the Magic Room with his videos that he produces for them and putting shows together. So we love Smitty.
Absolutely.
I've done something that may be a terrible mistake, but I've just invited Smitty to join.
No, we should have him. You know,
no, that's wonderful.
Smith, if you I check your email, I just sent you an invitation because I'm a master at this online thing now.
And I will let me apologize because when I put this together, I thought, okay, you know, we should have Kristen there, Todd, because I'm close to Todd, Gary, because I love Gary, and I'll tell you about Gary's career momentarily. But I thought if I invited Smitty, there'd be so many people, and I didn't know if you had a limit, Bradley. But to have Smitty join us right now, I would love that.
So I'll wait. I won't bring him in until we've said everything we need to say, because he could talk a lot.
Well, his spelling is going to be a problem, Bradley. So that's going to take up most of the rest of the show. Is spell check.
So you're going to ask more about Gary? Let's do that.
Well, I want to tell you about Gary Backstrom, and I love Gary. He's a consummate.
That's why I'm on the program.
Gary is the consummate professional. Let me tell you about Gary Backstrom. He is such a prolific songwriter and musician, and he has his solo career, but he does these shows with orchestras. He's done a Billy Joel show. He did a Peter Frampton a tribute show to the Peter Frampton live double album set. He did it at the Regent Theater, and he got so much attention that Peter Frampton himself responded through Facebook that he was honored that Gary was playing the entire Peter Frampton double record set. And you've played with orchestras doing Beatles shows. Tell us about some of those shows.
The orchestra thing is that's really interesting. We it's a group of 4 musicians that I happen to work with. 2 are from Portland, and 1 is from here, or from Arlington, and we fly around the country doing, like you said, we have 3 shows. Like, 1 is a Billy Joel Elton John show called Piano Men. That's what we started with. And so we will play with, say if we were from somewhere else and we came into Boston, we'd play with this Boston Symphony Orchestra, and we would do, it's a set show. It's been orchestrated and it doesn't change, right? Because when you play with orchestras, you can't improvise. You can't stray from the program. But we've done that before by mistake. Oh, we'll just vamp. And then the conductor's like, what? So, but it's fantastic. You look behind you and there's 60 people, all, the whole thing, with strings, horns, the full blown orchestra. And we just do a rock show infused with the orchestra. There's a classic rock one, which is a lot of arena rock, like Journey, Styx, Kansas, all that type of thing. Well, we just started. This is the one that I want ChaChi to come to. It's called Imagine the Beatles in the 70s. So it's all the solo Beatles music.
Nice.
Yeah, from 70 to around 84 or so. And that is a really, really, really fun show. I get to sing Live and Let Die with a full orchestra behind me.
Nice.
And that is really cool. So that's very, very fun.
I mean, Gary is something else, Bradley. In his career, he's opened for bands like the Allman Brothers and Derek Trucks, Los Lobos, Spin Doctors, Little Feet, Widespread Panic. I mean, the list goes on. He has a great
Little
career.
Feet. You don't look old enough to have opened for Little Feet. Is that some recent incarnation?
When they had their comeback thing, you remember how sort of they stopped for a while, and then they came back in the late 80s. In the early 90s, I mean, I was probably 21. They had an acoustic tour where they were playing. All it meant was the guitar players played acoustic and everybody else played the regular instruments. But we got to open for them at the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom. And we were just kids. We were just lucky to be in the right place at the right time. And then we got to open for them again in the late 90s, like the full Electric. They had a female singer at that point. Really nice guys. They were so nice that they actually remembered us by name, which I was shocked. You know, it wasn't, hey, I think I remember you. It was like, hey, Gary, what's up? And I'm like, whoa, this is very, very, very odd. They were really, really nice people. And they wanted to show us all their new equipment and different amplifiers they got. And I mean, that was really amazing.
May I ask you a question about your music distribution choice? You put it on CD. A lot of people don't have CD players even.
I know.
I actually do not have a CD player. There's the CD.
There it is.
Tell me about the choice to put it on CD in addition to streaming services, or is that because you a better way to make money?
It is at my shows. I get people asking me, can I buy a CD still? So there are still some people that have it. We'll see how these sell. You know, I wanted to run a vinyl also because it seems like a lot of people are doing that. But
you'll be waiting a long time for it.
That's true. We'll see what happens. Well, it is going to be on all the digital platforms on June 10th.
Yeah, but of course you get like zero money from the digital platforms.
Yeah, so
and that's why you like the CD, because you sell one CD at a gig and you make, what is it, $12 or whatever you sell it for. That's huge compared to that's like 1,000 times what you make on a streaming service.
Yep, I still have enough audience members that have CD players of some sort.
All right, I get it now.
Gary, any thoughts on putting it on Bandcamp? I love Bandcamp.
I think it's going to go on there. It's I'm trying to think of all the platforms that it's yeah, we have it listed to go on there. There's a huge list of like 30 different maybe even more digital sites that we're putting it on. But I will make sure to check on that one because I've heard that's very cool.
The people on Bandcamp have an option of actually purchasing the music in a digital format and can have it in either MP3, FLAC, or WAVE. I'm a big audio snob, so I love getting music in the FLAC format.
Right. I didn't even know about that one. That's new to me.
And I like owning music over streaming it myself.
Yeah. I don't know much about FLAC either. I know zero about it, actually.
It's a lossless format that doesn't take up the same amount of space as a WAV file. It's great.
But the sound quality.
I have to share one thing that I hate is that it's this rush to low fidelity. Quality used to matter. Now people will actually listen to music on their phone, not even headphones, their phone, the teeny little speaker that's an 1/8 of an inch big, and that's how they decide whether it's good or not. And
that makes me crazy.
Horrible.
Can I share a story really quick about this exact topic?
Yeah.
So I feel the same way, and I teach music, and all my students listen to the songs on the little stupid speaker on the phone, right? And I was driving around with my son, who's a drummer and very into music, and he goes, "Dad, we had my phone plugged into the car stereo." He goes, "You know, you have your phone set to mono, even though it's coming through the speakers." I said, "What?" He goes, "Let me go in here and fix it." So he flipped the Bluetooth onto stereo, which maybe I just didn't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know about this. And all of a sudden, it was like I was hearing everything for the first time. All the music I have on the phone just went poof, and it was like 3-dimensional, like it used to, right? When you would listen to music on a stereo. And I didn't know that there was a default setting on the iPhone for mono.
An iPhone defaults to mono, and I've been listening to on my car stereo to my phone playlists in mono all this time.
It very well could be. And the sound difference was it was amazing. And because most people listen through that one speaker, so they have the phone set, so everything just comes through there. And I just think that's the default setting. I could be wrong, but it sounded so much different. So I don't know. Just something you might want.
Well, I'm looking at my phone trying to figure it out. I'll figure it out after.
I'll ask him and I'll email you.
I'll look it up.
So Bradley, I got a message from Smitty. I can't seem to get my mic or video to work with Chrome. No clue.
No, that's too bad.
Unless you have a solution, because I don't.
Yeah, my browser gave me that little test when you open it up for the first time, but then StreamYard's been good both times. So have him restart the link.
Okay, there's maybe a solution there, Smith. So do that.
Well, I do choose StreamYard. This is interesting. Why do I choose StreamYard?
I was going to
over Zoom?
ask, Bradley.
I was wondering
Okay.
that too.
Yeah.
Now, if Zoom has caught up and does the same things that I now use StreamYard for, let me know. But the key thing is, well, a couple key things. I can stream to multiple formats at the same time. And I think maybe Zoom does that now too. But when I get comments, they come into the app. When you get comments in Zoom, correct me if I'm wrong, correct me if it's changed. But if you're using Zoom, you want to see your comments, you have to open up, say, Facebook to see the comments on Facebook, right?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
But with this, they come right into the app. I don't have to
Right.
open up Facebook. I have a
From all your
column.
different applications.
I have a column of comments right within the app, and there's the little icon that tells me if the comment came from YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, or where. That's why I use it. One of the downsides is it is a browser-based thing, so it's I think subject to problems more, because if you have a couple of tabs open, 2 or 3 tabs open, that it siphons away bandwidth from you or speed, so it doesn't work so well. So I'm going to go back and look into Zoom and see if they've caught up on the features, because I think that Zoom requires less light to use the green screen effectively, and I do use a green screen. This is not my home. This is fake.
Oh, I thought that was your beautiful home in
darn it.
Brookline.
No,
Yeah.
if you'd be blown away if you could see how ratty what's behind me looks.
Oh man, I gotta leave this podcast now. Then, Bradley, that's the deal breaker.
Well, not everybody doesn't know this, but that's not Todd's car.
That's right. He's really in a
It's a
very
rental
nice
car.
place.
Gary, where are you right now?
I'm in a rental car with a I'm just in my studio, like where my basement studio where I do recording and that kind of thing. I used to put a thing of Hawaii behind me, but
Nah.
I don't know how to do that on here.
A couple
Bradley's in the new
microphones,
room.
look official.
Yeah, you get the mic. Yeah, there's some. Well, there used to be drums back there, but yeah, there's a keyboard in there. Makes it look cool.
Can you hear me, or am I gone? Am I gone?
We can hear
No,
you.
you're there.
Okay, good.
I can hear you.
Very good. Is there anything else
Well,
here?
Smitty
I do
Smith
want to
is
go. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, but Smitty Smith is restarting. He's going to try to get on. But can I ask Kristen a question that's a little bit off track here?
Sure.
Are you really up in the copter every day?
Yeah, is weather permitting. Yeah, Monday through Friday, twice a day.
And do you enjoy that? Do you see all the mayhem down below and say, I'm glad I'm not in traffic?
I
Right.
absolutely say I'm glad I'm not in traffic, because I despise sitting in traffic. So that's the perfect job for me to not be in it.
Okay, so when I'm done here today, I'm traveling into the Wang Theater for the Ringo Art Show. Should I be expecting traffic inbound on the expressway?
At what time?
You
As
think,
soon as we're
Judge?
done here, 3 o'clock.
You think?
Northbound side will be backed up by then.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
It's always kind of the same, actually, isn't it? Really? It's very busy.
Yeah.
Wah! Except for an accident. You need to know where the accidents are.
Yes, that's key. That's where the helicopter comes into play. We can
Right.
find all the
I will-
crashes.
I definitely, if I'm driving, will listen to traffic on the whatevers to find
Praise.
out on the threes if
Yes.
my route is impaired in any way.
But I mean, let me just say this, Kristen. There was an incident on the expressway a couple weeks ago where there was so much bad traffic, cars were running out of gas, right?
I remember that day.
It
That
like
was
a fire.
horrific.
What day was that?
Yeah.
That was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I
A
think.
couple weeks ago. Yeah, that made the news up here in Maine.
Yeah,
I
there
have a
were
couple copter
just
questions.
It was 2 cars on fire, I think.
yeah. And so the expressway and then the lower deck of 93 on the other side of the city were full of like cars with no gas in them
Oh
anymore.
my god!
Crazy.
ChaChi, did WBCN used to have a copter? And was
Well,
it
let me
real?
ask you about that, because Kristen, we had Eli Scherer doing traffic years ago, and I
Right.
think
I
correct me
worked
if I'm
with him at
wrong,
one
Bradley,
point.
but he did it on the Charles Laquadera show, and he would say, "I'm up in the copter." Isn't that true, Bradley?
Yeah, but didn't ever have a real copter ever?
No,
Yeah, you dropped a
no.
pumpkin out of it, didn't you?
We
Yeah, but that
rented a
was-
copter for that.
Rental.
So
No,
I thought maybe there was a copter for a while, and then they said that's
No.
too expensive. We'll just have Eli slapping his chest.
I don't know. I can't remember. I don't think we had a copter. Maybe we leased it for a day or two. But remember, BCN wasn't making a lot of money back then.
What?
They were making tons of money. I'm kidding. They were
Right.
making tons of money, but they didn't need, because here's the deal. There's traffic everywhere, but it's good that Kristen's up there because I do listen to Traffic on the Threes on
Me too.
WBCN.
Any close calls up there in the copter? I mean, after 1,000, 2,000 hours up there, one of those hours is going to bring you some challenges.
So I've had about 8,000 hours up there.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, we've had a couple close calls.
Oh my
Um,
God.
Well, can you tell one of the stories?
I can tell you there was one morning I think we made Channel 5 a couple times. We lost one of the magnetos in the helicopter. And that's basically kind of performs the same or a function similar to what spark plugs do in terms of making the engine fire correctly. So we lost one of two of those, and you can't really fly with just one. So we had just gotten up to the 93 128 Cloverleaf. The engine made this clunking sound. And I said to my pilot, I'm like, that doesn't sound good. And he said, no, it doesn't. So we were right over the Cloverleaf in Woburn. He tried to turn around and fly back toward Beverly Airport, where we're based out of. And after we went, it wasn't even a 16th of a mile. He said, this isn't working. We're going down. I was like, what?
Jesus.
Oh my God.
So we ended up landing in this abandoned lot that used to be Woburn Toyota right next to the Cloverleaf. Thankfully, we had enough engine power to make a safe, soft landing. We just didn't have enough power to stay up anymore. But it was 8 degrees that morning. And it took about 25 minutes for state police to find us while we stood outside in the cold waiting for them.
And ever since then, Kristen carries rosaries with
I was
her.
saying, she went right home and paid up her insurance and made sure that was all paid up.
Is it the same pilot every day, Kristen?
Yep. I have a regular pilot every day.
Okay. So that must make you feel better. Well,
Yes,
what
it
did you think
does.
of? What do you think about the story of the two pilots who fell asleep? Did you see that story yesterday?
No, I didn't.
I did. There were airline pilots who fell asleep for 10 minutes, both of them. Now, I don't know if that might be common because of autopilot. I don't know. I bet it happens more than you think.
Well,
Probably.
when there's two pilots, one can do a short sleep break and they switch off and on. But these two guys, I assume they were guys, they both fell asleep for 10 minutes and air traffic control couldn't reach them. And I think they were going to Rome or something. So anyway, what does Smitty Smith say there? Your video chat is working great and I love it.
Good
Okay.
spelling.
There we go.
He worked on his spelling. So Bradley, before we sign off, let me just summarize what we have discussed.
You are a professional, definitely.
I try to be a professional. I was in the
Cool.
air studio at WBCN the very first night Bradley J was on the air.
That's right.
We were very excited because a gentleman by the name of Bradley was coming in.
Brad at the time, just Brad.
Just Brad at the
Right.
time. And
December 18,
December
4
18th.
a.m.
What a.m.?
4 a.m.
Yeah,
I
4 a.m.
was there. I was there with the DJ at the time who was Carla Nolan, the late Carla Nolan. We love her.
She's all these names.
And then Bradley walked in and I said, wow, hi, Brad. It's a new DJ on BCN. So anyway, it was a pleasure to still work with Bradley to this day. I consider him one of my closest friends. But I will summarize. We have our panel here with Todd Erickson from Shake the Faith, with Gary Backstrom from the Gary Backstrom Band with his brand new CD, Kristen Eck of Bumblebee Radio. And Kristen, before we sign off, how can people hear your show?
So I do a live program Friday mornings from 10 to noon, but the station itself is streaming 24/7. So you just go to bumblebeeradio.com. When you get to the website, there's a web player where you can play the station from there. And I also have an Android app available in the Google Play Store.
Very good.
I didn't know that. So I'm just going to ask.
Feel free
Okay,
to send me links to your station. I'll put them up. If that
Thank you,
be
Bradley.
great.
I'll do that.
Okay.
So Bradley, June 10th the Gary Backstrom Band CD release party at the Magic Room, located at the Norwood Space Center in Norwood, Massachusetts. I will tell you, there's plenty of parking. It's easy to get to. It's just a couple of blocks away behind the Bach New to You car dealership. So Gary's show is on June 10th. And then we have our 2-night Magic Room concert for Ukraine to benefit care.org, going to women and children. It's our relief fund. And on Friday, June 24th, Kristen is the MC, featuring the Dogmatics, Cold Expectations, Tsunami of Sound, and Holy Smoke, of which Todd is in. And then on Saturday,
Also,
June...
hey, Chach,
Yes.
one thing. Another band added to the Friday bill is oh shoot,
Key of Caustic.
Key of Caustic. Thank you, Kristen.
Very, very good. Thank you for that. And then Saturday, June 25th, I am the host, featuring our friend Smitty and the Fez Tones, Gene Dante and the Future Starlets, Babes, Modern Day Idols, and Lonely Lisa and the Lost Cowboys. Now, for these 3 shows, Gary's show and the Ukraine show, Ticket Leaf, L-E-A-F, ticketleaf.com, search Magic Room, and you will find ticket sales for those shows. And I will say, even if you can't make the Ukraine benefit show, buy a ticket anyway, and help out, as we know the terrible things that are happening in Ukraine right now.
Can you buy tickets at the door? You know how I feel about that.
Yes.
I think buying at the tickets at the door, if you can, would be the thing to do, because you save all those service fees, right?
You do, and but if the show is sold out, you won't get in. But yes, you can buy tickets at the door and forfeit all those ticket fees. Correct.
Yeah.
If I could add one more thing on the 2 Magic Room shows, if people want to get an idea of what some of those artists sound like, 8 of those artists that are playing over those 2 nights are played regularly on Bumblebee Radio.
Very good. And Kristen, I hope you would consider Holy Smoke and the Gary Backstrom Band in your future playlists.
I will.
Oh, pressuring the PD. Wow.
You know, if I was there with you, I'd slip you a few $100.
Right.
Gary, I've already listened to the CD once through. I usually listen to things multiple times before I start to pick out tracks on them. But it sounds great so far. The production values on it are wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Well, this was a lot of fun. I wish all these Zoom things were this much fun. This was great.
You do it next week.
Maybe.
What was that? What did I miss?
Okay, I'm done. I'm good. I'm out. And
thank you, Bradley. Thanks for allowing us to be
Bradley. Thank you, Chach.
What I do is
Kristen, Gary.
I take the link from Facebook and I post it and share it with big groups. If you guys all do that, we will exponentially increase the exposure of this. So okay.
Sure will.
So we'll be unlive, not live, in about 4 seconds. Don't say anything bad till I tell you.